Welcome to I Said What I Said, a sports podcast giving you opinions not heard anywhere else. I'm your host, Brad Wakai, alongside my co-host, Tyson Gentry. Tyson, it's been a while, man. How you doing?
Dude, I'm good. I'm a little bit bummed to be back here. I'm going to be honest because I was hitting bets the whole time we were gone, and as soon as we're going to come back on the show and start throwing them out to everybody, I'm cooked. I got no shot.
You'll be just like me, man. You're going to need your own personal bag to put over your head.
And everyone on YouTube, if you're wondering why Brad's glowing today, he's got some Arizona sunshine on him. No more of that New York clouds.
No. So the reason why we took off so long, almost 2 weeks at this point, is because I had to move across country. I'm now in Arizona. Tyson and I were talking a little golf before we got on here, and that's what we're going to discuss today, Tyson, because it was the second major championship of the year. We're big golf fans, and this was a riveting tournament. I mean, Scottie winning the Masters, we kind of all knew it. Like, you and me were like, oh, book it. Scottie's going to win. I think a lot of people thought that. This one was a little bit more open, and it was exciting. It was a tournament and a golf course that I think allowed people to go low, something that maybe people didn't necessarily agree with. But we'll get into all of that. But Xander Schauffele wins his first major championship at Valhalla in exciting fashion, birdieing the last hole, birdieing the par 5 when he had to do it just after Bryson DeChambeau tied him after birdieing the 5th. Tyson, we've been huge Xander Schauffele fans for a long time. We did not think he had us in him. So he wins his first major. Like, what's going through your head? I know we were texting, but like when that finally went in and it was like a reality, what were you thinking?
I mean, so we were on kind of opposite ends of the fence on 18, especially as Xander went to the tee box, because you were kind of, as most people who've watched Xander play a lot of golf, you're like, oh man, like how is this going to end? He's going to mess this up. I knew that putt was going in. Like when he didn't relinquish, something broke inside of him last week, I think, taking second again. Was it 2 weeks ago now to Rory? That was last week. When was Mother's Day? It was on Mother's Day. Whatever that was. Take second again. It's like, oh, Xander can't finish the tournament. To come out and start 9 under on the first day, which, Shane Lowry goes on to tie, which might be a thing about the golf course, but not for nothing, this is not the first time Xander Schauffele has come out and ripped up a major championship course on Thursday. And then to hold the lead the entire day, Thursday, and then hold it all day Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, to wire Masters champion or a majors championship with Victor Hovland breathing down your neck and Bryson DeChambeau breathing down your neck. Like this is not, and no shade to any of these guys, but like it wasn't looking like Justin Rose was going to gun him down from behind. Maybe 10 years ago, 11 years ago, something like that. But it wasn't the same kind of leaderboard we've grown kind of accustomed to seeing at these major tournaments where, somebody's up by 3 strokes and then the rest of the field is kind of fighting to stay above water, and there's some new names that we don't really know. This was a who's who of the last decade of golf, and he stared him down, and Brady hit that last putt. If that thing doesn't go in, he's 8 feet by the hole. That thing is lipping out. All of a sudden he's trying to tie Victor Hovland for second instead of messing with Bryson.
Yeah, he hammered that thing home. And when you listen to his comments after it, he's like, which I think it was funny because he thought it was just, let's go replay 18, the 1-hole playoff. But the PGA, you got to play it. It's an aggregate of the 3 holes. So he just thought, this is my chance. Or Bryson's going to probably eagle 18 because he's way longer than me off the tee. I got to make this putt. And he hit that thing straight with confidence. And it finally lipped in for him. Because the thing about the Xander Schauffele experience is it just feels like he gets the worst breaks of all time. And it tried,
every
right?
Week.
How the ball went into the bunker on 17 was ridiculous. I texted you, I'm like, how is that in the bunker? That like cleared it and it like backspinned in through. I was like, this is ridiculous. Then he's got to be standing in the bunker on 18. And he kind of made a little cheeky comment about it. He's like, well, they tried to throw some adversity at me. And that shot he hit when he's standing in the bunker to avoid the water and just hit it flush where he can go and get an opportunity to make a birdie. That won him the tournament, in my opinion, because in the past, Tyson, that thing's pushed right. That thing's hooked left. He's got to be scrambling to get par, and then we're going to a playoff. Now he's in his head again. That wasn't the case for Xander Schauffele this tournament. And we'll get into this, who's the best player to not win one, because for the longest time, he was the best player in the world that was yet to win a major championship. Yes, he won the gold medal, and that was great. But if we want to talk about legacy, if we want to talk about what these guys go for, which is major championships, guy is constantly there. Tyson, 12 top 10s.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about, a couple breaks here and there. We're talking about this guy with Jordan Spieth with 4, with Brooks Koepka with 5. I mean, Yeah, we looked at Xander Schauffele as, oh, this guy can't do it. And I'm not saying I'm not one of them. I texted you 2 holes in. It's in his head. It's over. And because that's what he's shown us. And then today and this week, that was not the case. I was rooting for him to get it done, especially once Morikawa kind of bowed out early. And we'll get into him, I think, because I want to pick your brain on that. But once he was out of it, I'm like, you know what? I'm rooting for Xander. This has got to be his time to do it. And I'm glad he did it.
Well, kind of felt like, was it 2019 at the Masters when he had that meltdown? That was your Tiger one, right? Xander was
Yes, 2019.
leading. Yeah. Sometimes that just like derails a career. And then it was like, oh man, he's going to finish top 5 6 more times and he's never going to get over the hump. This golf course set up pretty well for somebody like him to be aggressive. And, you mentioned maybe he hooks that shot or he pulls it or whatever in the past. Maybe he just doesn't put the chip to 12 feet or whatever the birdie putt ended up being. Left him, it was a little bit of meat on the bone there, but I think in years past he finds multiple ways to kind of not mess that hole up, but to make it a little bit more messy than it should have been. He played within himself, and that was something new. I think that now that this thing's off his back, watch out. And it's not we're not disregarding Scottie Scheffler or any of the other best players in the world. Those guys are still going to get theirs. But Xander Schauffele just stamped I can't finish in big tournaments. He just kicked that thing to the curb. I mean, we're talking Wyndham Clark a year ago, right? Like that whole tournament is won because Xander Schauffele and Ricky Fowler couldn't go wire to wire, couldn't control the moment. And I'm just glad we don't have to lead off another PGA championship, especially next year going, is this the time Xander's finally going to get one?
I mean, forget the next PGA Championship. How about the U.S. Open? Because he's going to be a favorite because it's at Quail Hollow, and it realistically sets up for his game if we look at it. And it would just be another thing. Well, can't pick Xander. He can't close. He can't win the big one, right? And that's been the conversation. So I agree with you. I'm glad that we can kind of put that out there. As far as the floodgate conversation, I think that's interesting. Before you kind of put Xander on the shelf and just kind of congratulate him for this, there's a real possibility that we could see him rattle off majors.
Dude, he's so nasty.
His golf game. I was listening to Mark Immelman talk about this, past swing coach, and now he's a CBS analyst, Trevor's brother, the lead analyst with Jim Nantz. There's a lot of people within the game of golf, for as great as Scottie Scheffler is, that think Xander Schauffele has the most well-rounded game of everybody, right? Scottie's putter's gotten better, but it's clearly a weakness. Xander's a good putter, like a good putter. He's added distance off the tee. Like this was a one that you're going to have to drive the ball well to win and far. Like look at the guys at the top of the leaderboard, right? Like Bryson DeChambeau, Victor Hovland, Thomas Dietrich's long off the tee. Justin Rose has added length. Shane Lowry, Scottie, JT, just Rory's T12. Like there's
everybody but Bobby Mack.
Hitters. Everybody but Bobby Mack and Collin a little bit. I mean, statistically,
That's
but
true.
it looks like he's getting a little longer off the tee. But Xander's long enough now where he can compete in these big tournaments. His irons have always been good. Just the question was, can he mentally do it? And like you said, once you get the monkey off your back, Tyson, we've seen it, especially in this sport. Oh, wait, I can do it in the biggest stage. And it's not like Brian Harmon did, right, in the Open, where he's up by 10 strokes and nobody's catching him. He had to play golf. Tyson, he went 6 under. He had to. He had to do it or else he loses.
Yes, and it was I don't ESPN, I thought, did a weird job on ESPN Plus with the feature groups and things like that, and you're kind of switching back and forth between the main broadcast and other things, and you just kept waiting to hear the roar on 14 when he has a birdie putt, or the roar on 15, and they just weren't coming. And so I think for the other players on the course, it was like the door is open, the door is open, the door is open. And as much as Xander won this tournament, I thought that somebody was going to try to walk through that door, and it wasn't until 18 when Bryson made the birdie putt where it was like, okay, now things are really getting tight here. So he was aided a little bit in that, I'll say. But, dude, he shot 21 under at a major tournament. Like, this is no joke, people. This is it was the lowest round of par in a major
ever
for the field ever by like a lot, by like 300 strokes.
It's impressive, man. It was impressive. Okay, let's get into this. I think we have the same answer, but who's the next first-time winner, right? Like, this is Xander's first. Now everybody points to the next, right? That's what everybody wants to know. I think both you and I have the same answer. I'll let you go first. I'm going to add some different thoughts to that, then we'll go down the list.
Well, I think are in agreement. It's got to be Vic. It's got to be Hovland. I thought that there was what do you have? 3 really good opportunities to at least tie at the top of the leaderboard this week when he's sitting at 19 under. He has some birdie putts that he kind of ran by, maybe a little bit of misreading stuff. But at the end of the day, it's always funny to me. Oh, he can't putt. Well, he's 17 feet away because he's a better iron player than you and I are. So his approach shots are a little better. I mean, he wasn't missing gimmies. I think Vic's got to be the next one. Like when he first came into the PGA Tour, it was like, I don't know if the short game's ever going to be good enough, or if his scrambling ability is ever going to be good enough for him to win one of these. But you can see the juice with him, right? Like you knew
Right.
this is going to be a good player. And lately, I mean, his irons were gone for part of this week, and he was making pars and birdies through the scrambling, through the short game. He's still like he's not going to trick you into thinking he's the best wedge player in the world, probably. But even just those little crisp spinners that he was hitting up and landing 3 feet short of spin high, one hop stop, and able to clean up the putts. I think that this kid has all the potential in the world. I think Victor is the easy answer, and I think that 2 years ago we both would have sat here and said Will Zalatoris, which I think tells you how much golf can change. And I mean, Willie's injury was big, but things happen quick.
Yeah, it's got to be Victor Hovland. I mean, he was the hottest player in the world last year. Tyson, I think we're about to see a run here from Vic Hovland. I think he's going to be close at the U.S. Open, and here's the reason why. For some reason, and golfers are crazy like this, he was hot as anybody in the world last year. He decided to part with his swing coach, Joe Mayo. I mean, this has not been a season that people can look at and be like, man, Vic's been good. It's been largely disappointing. He missed the cut at the Masters. I'm trying to look at his profile
Bunch of
here.
T43s and T29s and things like that, where he's in the tournament, but you're forgetting about him by Saturday afternoon.
8 events played, only 1 top 10, only 4 top 25s. I mean, this is Victor Hovland. He's 53rd in the FedEx Cup points. This is not the same guy who dominated the Ryder Cup, dominated last year to close the season out. Tyson, before this tournament, he quietly got back with Joe Mayo. I mean, we saw it. He was right there with an opportunity to win. It looked the best he's looked all season long. I think he just kind of got that Tiger thing, right? Like, he said, this is about the furthest I can go with my swing here. Like, what do you mean? Winning on the tour? That's the furthest you can
Best
go?
in the world?
And so I think he was able to take a step back, be like, okay, I may have been a little overzealous. Let's just go back to what was working. And if it works, why are you fixing it? I think you can throw out everything you saw out of Victor Hovland earlier in the season. He's back with his coach. He's back comfortable. I think there's an opportunity for him to win one this year, whether it's at the Open or whether it's at the U.S. Open. There's an opportunity for him. It's got to be Victor, though. I mean, beyond that, who else do you even put up there? I know you mentioned Zalatoris. He probably, let's be honest, should have won at this point based on what he did the last couple of years.
Tony's going to win one eventually, right? Like that's just kind of but it's the same thing where he's 12 under through Saturday afternoon, and then all of a sudden he's 12 under on Sunday night, and so it's tough. One of the things I think that's funny about golf is like it's who's going to be the next first time winner. I mean, Rory hasn't won a major in a long time. JT and Jordan Spieth and all these guys that are really good players, you look back and you go, I mean, JT was a little bit more recent with the comeback there just a couple of years ago. But like with Jordan Spieth, it's like it wouldn't be his first major, but it kind of feel like it. In a way, it's the same kind of thing, getting the monkey off your back sometimes. So I am confident in saying that the next live player to win a major will be Bryson DeChambeau, and I don't think anybody else is even sniffing that thing right now. Dustin Johnson is checked out. Taylor Gooch was in the tournament, which is good for Xander because that means this one counts. But I think that it was a poor week for Liv, man.
Brooks faded on on Saturday, like really badly, and he played extremely well on Sunday. Kind of backdoor in there, a top 30. Finished T26, but I mean 3 over on Thursday on this golf course, just not good enough. I'll throw a couple names at you. Now I want to get into Bryson because I want to see if your tune has changed a little bit in the big man. But couple names, and we both love Sahith Theegala. I think if he can find consistency, he's going to be a force.
I think Minwoo Lee is going to win a tournament, but I don't know if he's going to be the next one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Tom Kim feels like he's getting better. There's some question marks about his distance, and it just everything getting pushed back longer and longer. I'm wondering if that's going to hinder him unless he has something perfectly set up for him.
Well, let the kid be able to rent a car before we start talking about he can't do this or that. What is he? He's 20, 21, 22 years old.
Something like that, man. It's crazy. Here's another one for you. Joaquin Niemann. This was like the biggest story, like in the early part of 2022. It just running wild. Look like the next guy goes to live and has fallen off a cliff. I mean, the major tournament results have not been good. I mean, this was a guy that you and I would have looked at and said, at least 2.
I think that if Joaquin Niemann wins a major tournament, it's going to be the Masters. Like that's just when I watch him play, and especially at Augusta, there is just some. It's like how you might as well get John Rahm's jacket ready. He doesn't have one now, but he's going to get one. That's the same way I feel with Cam Smith. I think that someday he'll be wearing that jacket out there as well, and I think that about Joaquin Niemann. I think that he's going to struggle at when everybody can go low, then it kind of feels like nobody can go low, and then we're grinding again. And he's not necessarily he's not the best in the world at winning the tournaments that you're 2 under and the rest of the field is even. And it's not to say that when the winner is 21 under, it's the same thing, but it's a racehorse thing, right? He's either winning by 7 lengths or he's stumbling to the finish. Shout out to the Preakness. You make any money?
I did not. They unsealed the freaking track the only time, dude. It was pouring rain. Let's unseal it for the biggest one. What are we doing? What are we doing? It was ridiculous. No, I didn't. Did you?
Not on not anything at Pimlico, but
yeah.
I did all right.
Yeah, that was tough. And then Tyson, I can't believe we're going to get through this. And we'll get into Bryson because I want to throw something at you. But Patrick Cantlay, we've gone through this list of names. Patty Ice, no. Like what's – I mean, he's fallen off a cliff from 2 years ago. But, man, for a long time there, Tyson, it looked like he was the best player in the world.
Well, I can't remember the exact tournament, but when he was toe-to-toe with Bryson for those playoff holes, and they just played him on repeat for an hour and a half, and it was like, this dude's not backing down, and he finally he gets the edge there, gets the win, and then everything since that moment has kind of just been slowly downhill, and I feel like maybe his game will get to a point. That's the thing, man, is all these guys are so ridiculously talented and good. It's the only professional sport in the world where you can literally just convince yourself, maybe I'll get hot. And you can go from the 140th best player in the world to the best player for a weekend. So not saying that he can't do that, but I think maybe a little underrated aspect of this thing is I think all these dudes want to beat Patrick Cantlay maybe a little bit more than they want to beat Xander Schauffele.
It's something about the name Patrick, because Patrick Reed for a long time up there was people.
That's the only reason people dislike Patrick Reed.
Did you see that thing on social media where the guy got him to autograph the rule book?
That's pretty.
And it was hilarious. It was actually made. I've always liked Patrick Reed. I know you hate him. I know a lot of people do. I think he's funny. I think he's a great character for golf. And he was cracking up, dude. He saw it and he just thought it was some random thing that he wanted somebody to sign. And he makes eye contact with the guy. The guy didn't know how he was going to react. And Patrick Reed just started laughing his ass off, dude. It was actually great.
Did they show the part of the video where he lifted the dude's watch off his wrist while they were laughing?
On that note, I want to get into Bryson DeChambeau, Tyson, because and I was texting you a little bit, and you're like, you know what? I don't hate him as much because he's not on the tour, and I don't have to put up with his BS. Around. I've always liked Bryson. Maybe I have something for the bad boys of golf. Just a little tongue-in-cheek action there. But I want to see if something changed for you if I throw this at you. Did you see when he threw the ball to the kid?
Yeah.
And the guy stole it, and then he's like, hey, give that back, give the guy, and called him back. Kid got the ball. Great moment, man of the people. Were you sitting there like, am I an asshole for hating this guy? Is that what you were sitting there thinking?
No, dude. I think I've changed my tune on Bryson quite a bit, actually, over the last probably year and a half, really since the split. He's an easy guy to dislike and all of that stuff. And, I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody they're wrong. I think he's got the best YouTube channel for golf, in golf. And he's just out there having fun, and you can kind of see everything is calmed down. I mean, he goes out there and congratulates Xander on Xander's walk to go sign a scorecard. That was another big thing where that's 3 years ago, or 5 years ago. He's walking out there in his Kangol or his Sunday cap or whatever he's wearing, and he's pissed, and he's not saying hello to anybody. And I think that there's a lot of growth that's happened there, and he brings a different level of energy to this tournament. Would not have been nearly as fun if somebody else was 20 under and Bryson DeChambeau was 10. It wouldn't have felt like it did because Bryson has the crowd eating out of the palm of his hand. He's full lunging into his fist pumps. He understands the entertainment aspect, which I guess is probably something that drove me nuts the first time, because there was a lot of it where it was like, dude, you got to win something. And then finally he wins, and he's still kind of prickly and we all picked a side. It was the Drake Kendrick beef, but it was Brooks and Bryson, and it was who's who. And no, it's something special about watching the way he plays versus the way everybody else plays. And look, if you're going to sit there, I understand that his 8-iron is lofted as a 6-iron. So don't tell me, oh, actually, Rory hits his 6-iron the same distance as shut up, dude. There's something magical about watching a guy pull out his 8-iron cut to 7-iron length with 6-iron loft on it and launching that thing 225 carry. He plays the game differently, and I think now that he's in live, maybe it's not talked about. His wedges and his putter are insane. Like it's like an advantage that he now has over a lot of the field. Whereas before, in the big moments at least, whereas before it was like, well, I don't know if he's going to put this close enough to go clean up that birdie on that par 5, and now he's chipping in eagles.
Yeah, and a lot to unpack there too. And I was, giving Tyson a hard time because he's always been a Bryson hater. So I wanted to know if he repented, but he has a little bit. I just wanted him to say it on air. Listen, he's 30 years old now. When you get to that point in your career, and you're right, it seems like he's having more fun. I think he got to the point where he realized, like, dude, this is golf, man. Like, I don't need to be the biggest asshole. I don't need to be like somebody I'm not. Because let's be honest, Tyson, he can't wear the black hat well. Like, he can't be hated by the crowd. If the crowd is behind him, like they were at the PGA, this dude is electric. This dude plays well. He went 7 under, like, in the biggest point, was about to win the PGA Championship. The crowd was behind him. He looked great. He was hitting bombs off the tee, insane shots like you're mentioning, draining putts, getting the crowd into it. It was awesome. At Augusta, everybody was rooting for Scottie, and it flipped on Bryson because it was like, wait a minute, this guy's going to beat our beloved Scottie Scheffler? No, boo. And Bryson crumbled, right? Like he can't handle the anti-crowd. Like he's not a villain. Like Brooks can handle the villain role. He doesn't care. He just goes out there and plays. Rory, similarly, I don't think he can handle the anti-crowd type of deal. Tiger, I think he can. He doesn't give a shit what you think. People love him because it's Tiger Woods, but if everybody's booing him or cheering him, I don't think he cares. He's going out there to win.
The same reason they love Kobe. It's like, oh, he doesn't care at all what's going on. He's just going to go play. Don't mean to cut you off, but it is easier to relax with $500 million when you check your Citi bank account.
Maybe that's why he's enjoying the YouTube so much.
It could be.
Okay, I want to get into Rory before we get into Collin, Tyson, because, dude, this is just another thing that just drives me insane about anything related to Rory McIlroy and the conversation every single time this guy's in a freaking tournament, a major tournament, I should say. It was round 1. The guy's not even leading. Xander Schauffele just set the record for the PGA lowest score in a round. And I got people on social media, man, I just don't know if there's a course that's set up better for anybody than Rory McIlroy. Like, what? Like, it's freaking day 1. The guy's not even leading the tournament. The guy's like 4 shots back. You want to give him the Wanamaker trophy already? This is absurd. And it's every time. I get it. He's a fan favorite. I get it that people want him to win. I get it that people are getting a little antsy that it's been a decade since he's lifted one of these things. But let's just say it how it is. The guy is completely in his head. He can't putt. He can't live up to the moment. Something flipped where he just is putting way too much pressure on himself to win one of these things where he can't go out and compete. Tyson, I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. I don't know if he'll ever win a major championship again. And I do not say that lightly. I don't really speak in absolutes. We said it before when we're going through the first. How many good players are on this tour? If you're missing even a singular aspect of your game, I mean, and he's missing too. Like his approach shots can be awful. His putting can be awful. And if that happens both in a singular round, you're out of the picture. You can't win. And we're at that point with Rory. It's been a decade, man. It's a long time.
Well, it's tough. I know a lot of big time Rory fans, and it's getting to the point where he is one of the best in the world at chasing you down. It's hard for him, or being even with you on Sunday and leaving you in the dust. It's hard for him to maintain these leads, but it kind of sets up in major tournaments, especially. Now you're banking on one of the other best players in the world to poop down their leg and then have 4 other ones follow suit. Because how many times have we seen him now kind of backdoor his way into, you're looking at the leaderboard, the last group finishes up, and all of a sudden Rory's name ticks onto the last row, tied for 4th, right? Like it's every Masters or Majors tournament that we're seeing anymore. I think that a lot of the Rory hype this week was like, it's just like weird golf guy stuff. Like they all hate their wives. So then when Rory gets divorced, it's like, oh, he's gonna come out and rip it up right now. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? We've been watching the same guy. And he won a week ago. It was the same thing with the Open last year. He wins the tournament the week before that, similar conditions. And it's like, well, he's obviously gonna come out and win this one. And then you just kind of start finding excuses for him in the bottom of the hat. And it's gotten to like Krispy Kreme levels of glazing, dude, on the broadcast. It's disgusting. It's like, okay, are we watching the same tournament? Because he's played really well, but there's 5 other, like Shane Lowry goes 9 under on Saturday. And most of what they're talking about, well, that's Rory McIlroy's teammate in the Irish. It's like, shut up. Like the dude's making his own putts. I would love to see Rory win one in the future. The only one I would like to see him win, I think, is the Masters. I think that's just a special thing in the history of golf that would be kind of fun. His game doesn't necessarily set up at least Thursday through Saturday for a lot of success at that golf tournament, but I don't know if he's ever going to get one again either, and that is something that would have been insane to say in 2010, 2011.
Insane to think about, dude. Like, I mean, he's sitting on 4, I believe, right? He won his 4th in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine going back in time and telling them Rory's not going to win another major. He's going to be sitting on 4 for the next
What were
decade.
the odds on that?
People would have thought you were the biggest idiot. You had no clue. You're dumb. Like, delete your account. You're an idiot. Go play in traffic. All this stuff. Like, Rory, you kidding me? Like, he's probably going to win 30 by now. Like, and I agree with you. Was there anything more predictable than Rory winning the freaking tournament before? And everybody's saying, oh, here he comes. Like, It's every time, man. I'm so sick of it. And there's a lot of Rory fans, so I understand why there's a sentiment about it. Just like there's a ton of, there's a ton of Tiger fans. I'm sure the anti-Tiger guys were like, whatever. Tyson, I can't have this guy win the Masters.
I love it, dude.
I just can't, dude. And you'd love it because my head would just explode.
It'd be fantastic to watch in real time. I just want to see if they make a jacket in like a child size medium for the body and then adult XXX for the arms.
Let's get into this. I want to close with something that was just the most ridiculous story. Collin Morikawa. I think we can touch on this quick.
Getting arrested?
Yeah, we got to touch on that because that was
absurd. You meant Collin was the most ridiculous story.
Well, his putting performance on Sunday certainly was, and had major implications for me. But dude, what's going on with Collin? Because like the irons are back, right? Like for a long time, it was ridiculous. We were texting that stupid claw thing. Can we just like shoot that into the sun? Because it's clearly not working for this guy. I mean, how many 15 feet pin high approach shots do you leave yourself that you just burn the edge and miss? Dude, can he go to the mallet? Like you saw Scottie Scheffler go to the mallet and be great. You saw Wyndham Clark go to the mallet and be great. Xander Schauffele uses the mallet. Somebody get Collin Morikawa a mallet, please.
I think he's too much of a golf purist. He knows Tiger will be mad at him for switching, so he won't do it. I think the sarcastic kind of finger gun on 18 when he made the birdie was awesome. Finally rolls a putt in for the first time all day, and then he hops on Instagram and he said he's looking for a new putter. Anybody want to buy this one? But it is like it's so ridiculously hard to win one of these things, and so it's easy to kind of be like point to the putter for the reason that things went wrong, but. He played a good round on Sunday. It was just there was a lot of great rounds going on at the same time, so it felt like he was dead, so to speak, to win the tournament essentially by the time he made the turn, and that's not really what we thought was going to, especially with the way number 1 win. It was like, Collin might actually be the one to run away with this thing. He'll get back. He has to. But that's the same thing we said about Rory and all these other guys, and that's kind of the point of this conversation. You just can't hit irons the way he does and not like consistently give yourself a chance to win. If the putts go in, they go in and he wins the tournament this weekend. But that's not to say that at the U.S. Open later this year, the irons are on fire and the putts are rolling, that he doesn't have a great shot there as well. The British, there are a lot of opportunities at these golf courses really for the next 5 years that I think, as long as this is the way his irons look, he's going to consistently give himself a shot. I can't talk to you about the claw grip. I don't know anything about why he's got that going on. I mean, we were texting. It's like whenever we see anybody do that, like in the wild, when you're playing with your buddies or whatever, it's like, dude, this guy sucks. And some of these PGA players, they roll it in nonstop, and it's like it was a fad a couple of years ago, and then everybody switched, and then they stayed, and then a couple people jumped right back, and all of a sudden the putting numbers go up. And I'm hoping the same thing happens for Collin.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. I think didn't Sergio win the Masters with the claw, and then it started really going from there. I
Everyone,
think
yes, and Max started winning a bunch of tournaments, and now we have 45 minutes on the green, so these guys can set up their aim point.
that's true. All right, let's close with this. Scott, if I would have told you that freaking out of all people, Scottie Scheffler got arrested, what would you have thought?
Dude, I woke up on was that Friday? I woke up Friday morning to the ESPN alert, and I immediately it's the only athlete, celebrity, or really person in my life I think that I could look at that and go, nah, like he didn't do anything wrong, and I just went about my day, and the stories keep coming out. They don't have body cam footage, and the damage exceeded $80 and all this stuff, and it's like wow. So that was that was what Lexington, Kentucky wanted to put on the map when they host their first major. Like you're not gonna not only is all these guys ripping up the golf course that you have set up here, but then you're gonna throw world number one behind bars. And I was gonna say luckily the tee times were moved back. It was not lucky at all, and it was a terrible situation that happened with the spectator bus, and all of that stuff. But it was a crap show from start to finish this week, essentially, and it was not a good look. And Kentucky has some awesome courses that I'd love to see these guys play at more, but this was like just kind of to kickstart the week, and then everybody was just crapping on this place for the next 3 days.
Yeah, and Tyson, you might get thrown in jail if you go down there though, calling Louisville Lexington
Or
because
my
those are
bad,
those are
my bad.
fighting words
It's because they
between.
kept whatever. I just want Coach Cal back.
God, man, yeah, Lexington's getting taking all the strays here.
Yes.
No, it was absurd. I mean, honestly, like, and the arraignments pushed back now to June. It's like, can this guy just catch a break from this thing? Like, again, I don't know how the legal system necessarily works in these situations. Like, probably need a lawyer to explain this to us. But come on, I mean, this just feels just so over the top. I mean, just based on what's coming out now and how
Did
the
you think
charges
he
are
was
supposed
going
to
to
be
win?
dropped.
When he birdied
I
that first hole back on Friday, did you think he was going to win the tournament? Because I did.
I know you did. I thought it was going to be too hard. Not because of the arrest thing, but like, dude, the players and the Masters
It's
and the
crazy.
PGA, like, what is happening? I thought it was just going to be too difficult for him to do it. I mean, but on Friday, I was sitting there, I'm like, geez, dude, he may do it. And then Saturday happened, and he looked completely out of sync. Ted Scott's not on the bag. He had to go to his daughter's graduation. That was pre-planned. Scottie looked a little out of sorts. Maybe gets talked out of a couple shots if Teddy's on the bag. Whatever. I mean, that's something they agreed on and just didn't ultimately play well. And of course, he plays good Sunday to get back into the picture. But man, what a strange week for Scottie Scheffler and the guy that you would least expect to wind up in that situation. It's the nicest guy seemingly in the world.
Yeah, I mean, and there's got to be some crazy stuff to come out of this for me to like reconsider what I think about Scottie Scheffler.
Right.
Media masterclass afterwards and all of that stuff. But yeah, I just think that it was a really really rough look for essentially for everybody. It was a tough look for Scottie Scheffler and his team. It was a tough look for the police department down there. It's a tough look for the golf courses. Tough look for the PGA of America. All of these things, and so I think it was really, really good that the story was about the golf on Sunday and not about anything else. And that was a credit to all of the guys that made the leaderboard so packed all week.
Yeah. So PGA Championship recap, get out of here. Xander Schauffele wins his first major 21 under par, sets a record for major championships for lowest score ever. Bryson DeChambeau goes 20 under, finishes runner up. Unbelievable.
So
Victor Hovland just so close again, but can't get it done. Then we have Thomas Dietrich and
How much did
Collin
that
Morikawa.
final bogey cost Vic? Do we know? I
Well,
know
he was going
he
to be
dropped,
T3 anyway.
but
So
if he makes the birdie, I mean, like, what is the difference in that putt to get to 20 versus the T3 by yourself? Probably like 300 grand.
oh,
It's a
that's
tough
a good
deal.
question. Yeah,
Um,
that's a good question. I'm trying to find the money payout, but it's not on
I
here.
know he's not listening, so we're not like pouring salt in the wound or anything. But I was just, I was looking at him, and they're like, "Oh, that's the realization of you're not going to win the tournament." And I was like, "Yeah, he's probably worried about the $300,000 not showing up in the bank."
Yeah, he's a little tough. I'm sure his caddy was sitting there like, "Come on, dude, what are you doing?"
I think he'll be
Um,
fine off the 57 million from last year or whatever it was.
that's true. Before we get out of here, what do you think of Valhalla? I know we kind of teased it. Like, do you think the PJ should go back? Was
No,
that a course that was good enough
go
for a
back in the
championship?
middle of the year and go back in the weeks between majors and when the tournaments where we want to see guys go 21, 20 under and things like that. But yeah, I mean, dude, this is like normally when the leaderboard says 21 under at the winner, you're looking for like Oshke or somebody like that around the top. You're not looking at the best players in the world. I think the golf course got dog walked this week. And one thing I've always thought that's kind of funny is, like, you're a member at this course, right? You play there every day, all year round. You are one of the best players at the club because you're a scratch handicapper and you play
Yeah.
pretty well. And then they set it up the hardest it's been, and the best guys in the world come out and give you the biggest slice of humble pie you can handle. And that's just little things going on in the back of my head that I think are funny.
All right. On that note, let's get out of here because I got a big golf trip coming up this weekend, and Tyson just put something in my head that I should not be thinking about going into a big golf weekend. But like, subscribe, and share the show. We appreciate you guys watching. I know it's been a little while, so if you're watching out, we got a bunch of content coming out previewing the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals in the NBA. We're finally doing our NBA talk. That should be fun. I'm excited for that, so we'll go through it. Stay connected with us on our socials, X, Instagram, TikTok. It's all the same handle at ISWIS_pod. Talk to you all about basketball. Till then, guys, peace.